Someone asks you a simple question. How was your childhood? And you freeze. Not because it was traumatic in the obvious ways, not because you have some dramatic story to tell, but because when you try to remember being a kid, there's just this blank space, like you skipped about 15 chapters between age 7 and 17. You can remember events, facts, houses you lived in, but you can't remember feeling like a child, because somewhere along the way, you stopped being one. And now at 30, you're the person everyone calls in a crisis, the one who stays calm when everything's falling apart, the fixer, the organizer, the emotional translator for every group you're in. But here's the thing no one asks. Who do you call when you're the one falling apart? The answer is usually no one, because asking for help feels physically impossible, like trying to speak a language you were never taught. This isn't just being mature for your age. It's not a compliment. It's a psychological scar with a name: parentification. And if you're nodding right now, if this already feels like I'm reading your diary, this video is for you. What is parentification? Let's start with what this actually is. Parentification is when a child is forced to take on adult roles, either emotional or physical, because the adults in their life couldn't or wouldn't. Maybe you were the mediator in your parents' fights. Maybe you were the one comforting your mom after her breakups. Maybe you raised your siblings while your parents worked 3 jobs. Maybe you just learned very early that your needs made things harder, so you stopped having them. And here's what's important. It wasn't always obvious abuse. Sometimes it was just necessity, poverty, mental illness, divorce, addiction. A parent who was physically there but emotionally absent. A family system that was just barely holding together, and you became the glue. Now, here's where it gets psychological. Dr. Lisa M. Hooper, who studies this stuff, found something crucial. What looks like exceptional maturity in a child is actually a survival adaptation. It's not a personality trait. It's a nervous system that got stuck in crisis mode. Let me explain what that means for your brain. When other kids were playing, learning to regulate their emotions through safe exploration, your brain was flooded with cortisol, the stress hormone. Your nervous system was constantly scanning for danger. Not physical danger necessarily, but emotional volatility. Is mom okay? Is dad going to blow up? Who needs me right now? What can I fix? This is called toxic stress. And unlike normal childhood stress, which comes and goes and is buffered by safe adults, toxic stress is chronic. It rewires your developing brain to prioritize survival over growth. So while other kids' brains were learning, the world is safe, I can explore, your brain was learning, the world is unstable, I need to control everything to stay safe. You didn't become mature, you became hypervigilant, and your brain has been running that program ever since. The adult consequence: hyperindependence. So what does that childhood adaptation look like in adulthood? It looks like hyperindependence. You're 30 years old, you're successful, you're capable, and you are absolutely, completely, pathologically unable to ask for help. Not because you're proud, but because somewhere deep in your nervous system, there's a belief that was hardwired in childhood. My needs are a burden. My survival depends on not needing anyone. You learned very early that your needs were secondary, that stability, maybe even your family's survival, depended on you holding it together. So you did, and you never stopped. Here's the cost. You are not a human being. You are a human doing. Your worth is tied to your usefulness. If you're not solving someone's problem, managing a crisis, or being productive, you feel anxious. Resting feels like failure. Relaxing feels dangerous. You equate love with service. Being needed feels like being valued. And the idea of just existing, of being loved for who you are, not what you do, feels foreign, suspicious even. Let's talk about control. You overthink everything. You plan for every variable. You have backup plans for your backup plans. And people might call you a perfectionist, but it's not perfectionism. It's a trauma response. When you grew up in an unpredictable environment, where emotions were volatile, where money was tight, where you never knew what version of your parent you get that day, your brain learned that the only way to feel safe is to control everything. Because if you could just manage all the variables, anticipate all the problems, keep all the plates spinning, maybe, just maybe, nothing would fall apart. The problem is, that's not how life works, and the exhaustion of trying to control the uncontrollable is killing you. Relationships, the savior trap. Now let's talk about your relationships, because this is where parentification shows up loud. You have a type, and your type is someone who needs fixing. The partner with untreated depression, the friend who's always in crisis, the person with potential if they could just get their life together. And you're the one who's going to save them. Not because you're arrogant, but because being needed feels like love. It's the only relational dynamic you know. When you were a kid, love wasn't something you received just for existing. It was something you earned by being useful, by taking care of others, by making yourself indispensable. So now, as an adult, you're drawing to people who need you, because need feels like intimacy, dependency feels like connection, and a partner who has their life together, that feels wrong. Here's the paradox. You finally meet someone stable, someone emotionally available, someone who doesn't need you to fix them, who just wants to be with you. And it feels uncomfortable, boring even. Not because they're boring, but because your nervous system doesn't know what to do with safety. You've been conditioned for chaos, you're fluent in crisis, and peace feels like the quiet before the storm, like you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. So you either leave or you sabotage it, or you stay but feel vaguely anxious the whole time, waiting for the chaos that never comes. Let's talk about emotional labor. You are fluent in the language of emotional labor. You walk into a room and immediately scan the emotional climate. Who's upset? Who's uncomfortable? What tension needs to be diffused? You're the conductor of the room's mood, the mediator, the person who makes sure everyone else is okay. And you do it so automatically, so skillfully, that most people don't even notice. But you know what they also don't notice? That you're exhausted. Because managing everyone else's emotions 24/7 is exhausting. And the worst part is you don't even know how to stop. Because if you're not doing it, if you're not managing, if you're not holding space for everyone else, who even are you? Grieving and healing. So how do you heal from this? The hard truth, you have to grieve. You have to mourn the childhood you didn't get. The kid who should have been allowed to be messy, irresponsible, needy, and small. The kid who should have been taken care of instead of doing all the caretaking. You have to sit with the anger that you were robbed of that, and you have to sit with the grief that you can't go back and get it. This isn't about blaming your parents. Maybe they were doing their best. Maybe they were drowning too. But you can hold compassion for them and grieve what you lost. Both things can be true. Here's the shift that needs to happen. You need to become a beginner at being taken care of. That means learning to ask for help, even when it feels excruciating. It means letting someone else hold your emotions for once. It means saying, "I'm not okay," and not immediately following it with, "but I'll handle it." It means letting people show up for you the way you've shown up for everyone else your whole life. And I know that feels terrifying, because asking for help feels like admitting you're not enough, like you're failing, like you're going to be abandoned. But the truth is, the people who love you want to take care of you. They're just waiting for you to let them. They're waiting for you to stop being the one who has it all together and be the person who's human. You've spent your whole life convinced that your worth is conditional, that you're only valuable if you're useful. But that was a lie you learned in childhood because the adults around you couldn't love you the way you needed. Your worth is not conditional. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to perform for it. You are allowed to exist and be loved just for being. You've been holding on so tight for so long, white-knuckling your way through life, convinced that if you let go, everything will fall apart. But here's what you need to hear. It's safe to let go now. It's safe to stop being the strong one. It's safe to stop managing everyone. It's safe to take up space. It's safe to have needs. It's safe to be the one who's taken care of. The world won't collapse if you stop holding it up, I promise. You deserved a childhood where you got to be a child, where you got to be messy and irresponsible and small, where someone else held the weight. You didn't get that, and that's not fair. But you can give yourself permission right now to stop performing adulthood as survival. You can rest. You can need people. You can let them in. You've been the adult in the room since you were 7 years old. You've done enough. It's someone else's turn now. Thanks for watching. And if this was you, I see you, the kid you were and the adult you've had to become. You did an incredible job surviving, but you don't have to survive anymore. You get to live now.